G'day traders, we're going to wrap up of Thursday the 11th of October. So we've got the daily chart up here. You can see we're bouncing, we're getting a little bit of a bounce at the moment off that support line that we've got on the daily charts at the moment. So quite a significant area. We spoke about how the market's come up here, so it's created a swing low, it's come up, it's failed to go higher. So that's fairly significant for the sellers, that all of a sudden they were able to stop these buyers from just continuing to go higher, which they've done for quite a few months now. Then they came rushing down here. So last week we've had some very strong selling markets, and they came down and they're testing this support. So what we want to see, if the market can get through this support, that's going to be a real significant move for the sellers. It's a real reversal pattern, and you might see them come down and put some pressure on here. At the moment, they are getting bounce. So today, I'll bring up the 15 minute in a sec. Today was the cash market was down. However, we did see the market push up during the pre-market. That's why we're getting a bit of a green candle there. But if I just bring over the 15-minute charts, it'll show a bit more of a picture of where we're at. So remember, going back to Wednesday for a second, the market's come down. Here's this low. If I just so this is Wednesday here. You can see that it's bounced off the low right here of this previous low over here. Okay, so here's the Wednesday here. It's bounced off the low almost to the point. It's just dealt sideways. Then in the pre-market, it's able to push down lower. So through this pre-market, it'll be interesting to see whether it consolidates and pushes lower or whether it pops back up into the range, because technically it hadn't really solidly broken through this daily support level, which sits right around here yet. We can see we've popped straight back up within the range. So sellers didn't just quite have the ammunition to continue through. But as soon as this cash market's opened, it has pushed down again. So the sellers are coming in their waves. They're going to try and put some pressure on these lows again, no doubt. But again, it'll be interesting just to keep a really close eye on about that 14.25 and see what the markets can do. But as the cash market opened, it's an interesting area. We've had some real selling pressure, but all of a sudden we saw some strong buyers come back in the pre-market. But they've basically turned the market around. You can see there's resistance here. It's a 14.38, 14.39 region, and that's where the market's topped out. And again, it's managed to push lower. That just shows that even after the buyers came back and having a little bit of a go, the sellers are coming back in and continuing sort of a bit of a run that they're having this week. So this overall morning session, a little bit of a difficult one to predict what was happening based on the other markets. The other markets say time and time again that they're a great indication of particularly where the market could be going, because usually the smaller markets, especially the Russell and Nasdaq, they tend to lead and head off before the ES, and then you might see the ES follow. But in this particular area, we had a real difference between the Nasdaq and the Russell. What's happened is, so the market's really dealt sideways for a while. We took a good 1.5 hours to hit our first power point up around this region here, but then it was through here we saw the Nasdaq just take off to the downside and bout here. The Nasdaq had already broken down through this little bit of a low point here, and that's quite significant and showing that the Nasdaq was very keen on the downside. And after that, the market has looked like it has followed the Nasdaq. But what was confusing the area was the Russell. If you look at the Russell at the same point here, through this region here, it just pushed it so much higher, and it took a long time to actually come down and break this point here. And it wasn't until back through this point here that the Russell had actually broke this significant point over here. Whereas the Nasdaq, ES, all the other markets had already done it. They were basically pushing lower, coming back using that low as a little bit of resistance, and then going lower again. So an interesting area as far as looking at the other markets. This 5-minute setup here, very much a fade setup, moving average clearly pointing down. We're breaking the cash market's lows. It's sort of coming back using that low as resistance. So overall, pretty good setup. If you had the Russell really participating and looking like the Nasdaq, this would be fantastic. All systems go. But the Russell was really pushing high at this stage, while the Nasdaq pushing lower. But the overall pressure is definitely on the downside. As far as an automatic setup, it's a pretty good one, and it's managed to. What's it gone? Oh, is it gone? No, it's gone 7 ticks. Then it would have popped up. Ooh, would have got the exact stop out, and then it's gone lower. But overall, the area, you can see the area is eventually pushed down lower, and it's not a bad area as far as the sellers are concerned. And sellers continue to do what they've done pretty much all this week, and then the push lower and just finish the market going sideways. So just looking at the 1-minute chart, we drifted sideways, couldn't really pick up on direction to start off with. Like I said, it took a while to hit the first power point. It's then managed to go high, but this is where they've topped out and found that resistance, previously from the pre-market. And then from there, this sell-off has come. We've got a very sideways period through the lunch hour as well. And then again, they've continued to push lower before going sideways to finish day as well. So there's still signs that sellers are certainly having a go and trying to gain back some control. And in the cash market, when it counts, the sellers have really dominated this week. So that's a wrap up for Thursday, and we'll be back next week.